Right, for more on the issue, we speak to the CEO of Universities South Africa, of course representing universities across the country, Professor Ahmed Bawa via Skype. Professor, thank you for being with us. I don't know if you saw in a statement tonight, Julius Malema has reiterated that call for former matriculants who did well to pitch up at universities now that they qualify. But it seems like there's just no way that they could be accommodated right now. Is this serious, a serious situation?
We are quite, we are quite convinced that the call made by Mr. Malema to get students to apply to the is a good call, and we should applaud that. What we're very concerned about is his call for students to pitch up at the universities at the beginning of the year if they haven't yet applied for financial aid, or for entrance to the universities. If they have applied for entrance to the universities, then it's no problem. But if they haven't, then we should just recognize that the closing date for applications really goes back to September or October 2017. And I've already processed many of those applications. So from our point of view at least, we are concerned about students pitching up at the university and creating that, to injury and so on if there are stampedes and so on. So what we are very keen on doing is redirecting those students to a facility that already exists on the DHET website. It has to do with precisely this kind of situation where students have not applied for financial aid. For entrance to the universities, and we then, they submit their details onto that website, up into the universities, then kind of work on the placement of those students.
When, if there was a mass walk-in and standoffs at universities, when would that traditionally happen? Or are you worried about potential violence, like you said, from any time now?
Sorry, I didn't get that. Could you repeat that?
When do you think there could be clashes? Have people pitched up at universities thus far, or is that something that you would expect in coming weeks?
The universities begin to reopen after the New Year break tomorrow, but queries at the universities. I've been receiving queries personally, and so it's a period of very deep uncertainty and anxiety. So we really like to work with the department and with NSFAS to get out a clearly defined pathway for students to access higher education if they haven't already applied to universities. If they have applied to universities, then it's not a problem at all.
Talking about working together, you said in a statement that universities were not consulted about the change in December. The minister says she sat with many universities and there was a lot of discussions around there. So who do we believe?
Look, we had one meeting with the minister at which we discussed something completely different. I had a second meeting with the minister, and I think we have to disagree on what was discussed, because the idea of a new funding system for students was simply not discussed.
You're also worried about second years, and I agree there could be resentment. Professor, where our lines are crossed. Resentment from second years you're worried about. She did say, however, that government wants to start somewhere. You can't invest in ignorance, so that they have to just start somewhere. Does that calm your concerns about those who are left out, who may be angry?
Well, I don't know about investing in what was the phrase again? Ignorance. I mean, that doesn't sound very plausible. Look, we are satisfied with the idea that the system is being phased in. So, the department has made that clear, and we buy that idea. It's not a problem. What is there will be students in second year and third year who are, whose family earnings are in the gap between 122,000 and 350,000, who will expect the same dispensation, and that's something I think that we're going to have to manage, not just the universities, but the universities together with the department and with NSFAS. Mm.
You're also managing uncertainty around the actual funding. We were talking to the Minister about that earlier. As I understand this, mainly loans from NSFAS that would have been given anyway are now become free grants. They don't need to be paid back. So is this really a funding problem for NSFAS, or are the universities themselves worried about a burden that they don't know exactly how large it is in the first place?
Yeah. Look, we are concerned about the long-term sustainability of the program, and we've raised that issue with the department. And the department is convinced, in fact, that in their work with Treasury, that they've arrived at a financial model new system. And we'll pay attention to that, and we'll try and understand better how that will work. But I think the important point is that this isn't a free education model. It's a bursary model, basically. And instead of students receiving loans from NSFAS, once they've been admitted to a university or to a TVT college, they will receive bursaries, and that very support that 100%.
All right, finally, Professor, the line isn't great, but just very quickly, what are universities doing right now to prepare for any potential fallout, given that Julius Malema is reiterating that call for people to pitch up?
Yes, look, we are, the universities, of course, will have to take special care over the next 2 to 3 weeks. And each university will design its own problem to the problem that might arise. What we don't want, again, is a massive influx of police and security and so on. That's something that we would like to avoid, if at all possible. But at the same time, will have to be alert for dangerous situations that might arise. What we really look forward to now is a very clear level of a very clear set of documentation that the department puts out into the public domain that indicates exactly how the new system is going to work. We think we have a fairly good idea, but it really is the responsibility of the department and the ministry do that, so that everybody can be on the same page.
All right, thank you very much.
Although we were unhappy in the way in which the program was announced and so on, we think that it has enormously positive outcomes for students, for poor and working. And we would like to see the system work, even though we've had only 2 to 3 weeks to try and implement it.
Sure. Thank you for your time this evening. The CEO of University South Africa, Professor Ahmed Bawa.